Welcome. Tonight we will travel slowly back in time. There is no rush here, no sudden noise, no sharp or dramatic moments. Only wide skies, open land, and the steady rhythm of life in the American West during the late 1800s. As you settle into a comfortable position, allow your breathing to grow slow and even. Let your thoughts drift gently. Imagine the modern world fading away. The sound of traffic disappears. Bright electric lights dim. In their place, you hear a soft breeze moving across tall prairie grass. It is somewhere in the American West, perhaps in the 1870s or 80s. The sky stretches endlessly overhead. The horizon feels wide and open. A small frontier town rests quietly beneath that sky. Tonight, we will walk through its dusty streets. We will visit wooden homes and simple shops. We will watch cowboys return from long cattle drives. And we will stay long enough to see the prairie grow quiet beneath the stars. Take a slow breath. The land is wide. The air is calm. Let us begin. The American West during this era is a place of vast distances. Rolling plains stretch for miles without interruption. In some regions, dry desert land glows softly under the sun. In others, grassy prairies sway like gentle waves. Far in the distance, mountains rise in blue-gray layers. The sky is one of the most striking features of this landscape. It feels larger than anywhere else. Clouds drift slowly across it, casting wide shadows over the earth. During the day, sunlight is bright and clear. At sunset, the sky transforms into warm shades of gold, orange, and soft pink. At night, the stars appear in breathtaking numbers. Small frontier towns are scattered across this open land. They often begin near a railroad line, a river crossing, or a place where cattle trails meet. These towns are modest. A main street runs through the center, lined with wooden buildings, a general store, a blacksmith shop, a small church, a saloon with swinging doors, perhaps a hotel for travelers passing through. The buildings are built from wood, sometimes painted in simple colors, sometimes left natural and weathered by sun and wind. The ground is dusty in dry weather, muddy after rain. Horses are tied to wooden posts along the street. Wagons rest nearby, their wheels leaving deep tracks in the dirt. The town feels small against the wide landscape, yet it is full of life. Imagine now that it is early morning in one of these towns. The sun has just risen over the horizon. Its light spreads slowly across the prairie, warming the earth. A rooster crows from behind a wooden house. A rancher steps outside, adjusting his hat as he looks toward the distant pasture. The air is cool and fresh. A faint scent of dust and dry grass lingers. Inside a small home, a woman stirs a pot over a cast-iron stove. Coffee begins to brew, filling the room with its rich aroma. Children rub their eyes and sit up from narrow beds. Outside, a horse snorts softly and shifts its weight. The town wakes gradually. The blacksmith opens his workshop doors. The sound of metal striking metal begins gently, steady, rhythmic. The general store owner sweeps the wooden porch with a broom, clearing away dust gathered overnight. There is no rush, no crowds pressing forward.
Only the steady beginning of another day. Let us walk slowly down the town's main street. The wooden boardwalk runs along the front of buildings, raised slightly above the dirt road. Your boots make a hollow sound against the planks. A man tips his hat politely as he passes. From inside the bakery, you smell fresh bread. The door to the saloon is still closed, quiet after the previous evening. A wagon rolls slowly into town, pulled by 2 horses. The driver guides them carefully, the wheels creaking softly. Dust rises in gentle clouds behind them. A dog lies in the shade beneath a porch, barely lifting its head as you pass. In the distance, beyond the last building, the open prairie stretches wide and empty. The town feels like a small island of wood and human effort, surrounded by endless land. Now let us step inside a typical frontier home. The structure is simple, built from wood planks or sometimes sod bricks cut from the earth itself. Inside, the space is modest. A small table stands in the center of the main room. A few chairs surround it. Against one wall sits a cast-iron stove, used for both cooking and warmth. Shelves hold tin plates, cups, and simple cooking tools. Beds are narrow, often shared by children. Light enters through small windows, sometimes covered with simple curtains. The air smells faintly of wood smoke and coffee. Life inside these homes is practical. Every item has purpose. There is little decoration, but much care. Families work hard to maintain comfort in a land that can be harsh. In winter, wind may rattle the walls. In summer, heat may press heavily against the roof. Yet, inside there is warmth, not only from the stove, but from shared effort. Step back outside once more. Listen carefully. The American West is not silent, but its sounds are wide and spacious. Wind moving through tall grass, the distant call of a meadowlark, the lowing of cattle grazing in open fields, the steady rhythm of hooves as riders cross the land. The town itself adds its own gentle sounds. A hammer striking a nail, a door opening and closing, soft conversation drifting from a porch. These sounds do not crowd one another. They are spaced apart, like the wide distances between ranches. There is room for quiet here, room for stillness. As afternoon stretches into evening, the quality of light begins to change. The sun lowers toward the horizon. Its brightness softens into warm gold. Long shadows stretch across the dirt road. Ranch hands return from checking fences or moving cattle. Shopkeepers begin closing their doors. The air cools gently. Dust settles. The sky shifts from blue to shades of orange and rose. The town grows quieter, and the prairie, endless and calm, prepares for night. As the sun rises higher over the prairie, daily life begins in earnest. Let us spend some time with a ranch family living a few miles outside of town. Their home stands alone against the wide landscape. A wooden fence surrounds a modest yard. Beyond it, cattle graze across open fields. Inside, the morning routine unfolds steadily.
The father pulls on sturdy boots and steps outside to check the livestock. He carries himself with quiet purpose, moving slowly but confidently across the land he knows so well. The mother prepares breakfast over the cast-iron stove. She measures flour carefully, mixing it with water and a little salt to bake biscuits in a heavy pan. Coffee simmers gently. Children help with small chores. One gathers eggs from the chicken coop. Another carries water from a nearby well, balancing the bucket with both hands. The work begins early because the sun can be strong by midday. But there is no frantic hurry. Each task has its place in the rhythm of the morning. Now imagine a cowboy preparing for a long day of riding. His clothing is chosen for usefulness, not style. He wears a wide-brimmed hat to protect his face from sun and rain. A cotton shirt, often faded from many washings, is tucked into sturdy trousers. Over his trousers, he straps on leather chaps to shield his legs from brush and thorns while riding. Boots with slight heels help keep his feet steady in stirrups. Around his neck, he may wear a bandana, useful for wiping sweat or covering his mouth against dust. Every item serves a purpose. The leather is worn smooth with use, the fabric softened by weather and time. There is something steady and dependable in these clothes. They reflect a life lived outdoors under open skies. Let us follow the cowboy as he rides out onto the prairie. The horse moves at a calm, steady pace. Its hooves press softly into dry earth. Cattle graze in scattered groups, their movements slow and unhurried. The cowboy's job is not constant excitement. It is observation, patience. He watches for straying animals. He checks fences for breaks. He ensures water sources remain accessible. During cattle drives, work becomes more demanding. Large herds must be guided across long distances toward railheads where they will be loaded onto trains. But even on these journeys, much of the day is steady movement, the sound of hooves, the creak of saddle leather, the low murmur of cattle. At night, during a drive, cowboys take turns keeping watch, riding slowly around the herd beneath a sky filled with stars. It is a life shaped by routine and the natural world. By midday, the sun stands high and bright. The cowboy dismounts near a small stream or shaded area. From a saddlebag, he removes a simple meal, beans cooked earlier and stored in a tin container, a piece of salt pork, a biscuit wrapped in cloth. He eats slowly, seated on the ground or on a flat rock. The wind moves gently across the grass. There is no table, no formal setting, only open land and quiet company. After resting briefly, he mounts again and continues his watch. While ranchers and cowboys work across open plains, another group shapes the West in a different way: railroad workers. Let us imagine a crew laboring near a small town. They move steadily along a stretch of track, inspecting rails and hammering spikes into wooden ties. The rhythm of hammer striking metal echoes clearly in the open air. Trains pass through periodically, releasing clouds of steam that drift slowly away in the breeze. The arrival of the railroad changes frontier towns. It brings goods from distant cities, fabric, tools, canned food. It carries cattle eastward and new settlers westward. Yet even here, work follows a pattern. Hammer, pause, hammer again, a steady beat beneath the wide sky. Back in town, daily life continues at a slower pace. The general store is the heart of commerce. Inside, wooden shelves hold sacks of flour, sugar, coffee beans, and dried fruit. Barrels of nails and tools stand near the counter. The storekeeper weighs goods carefully on a brass scale. Customers step inside to purchase supplies or exchange news. Conversation is calm and unhurried. A farmer may trade eggs for fabric. A traveler may purchase provisions for a journey. The air inside smells of wood, coffee, and leather. Light enters through front windows, casting long stripes across the wooden floor. Outside, wagons pass slowly along the dirt road. A little farther down the street, the blacksmith works steadily in his shop. The interior is warmed from the forge.
He heats a horseshoe in glowing coals until it turns bright orange. Then, with measured strikes of his hammer, he shapes it carefully on an anvil. The sound rings clearly but not harshly, metal on metal, a simple rhythmic music. When a rancher brings in a horse for new shoes, the blacksmith works patiently, lifting each hoof and securing the iron in place. Sparks rise briefly, then fade. The work is skilled and necessary. Without the blacksmith, the town would slow to a halt. In some towns, a small schoolhouse stands near the edge of Main Street. It is a simple wooden building with one large room. Inside, children of different ages sit at wooden desks. A teacher stands at the front, guiding lessons in reading and arithmetic. Sunlight filters through tall windows. Dust floats gently in the beams of light. The children's voices blend together as they recite lessons. Education in the frontier is valued, even when resources are limited. It represents hope for the future, a sense that this new land will grow into something lasting. As afternoon deepens, the heat may grow strong. Dust rises under passing hooves. Many townspeople move more slowly now, seeking shade beneath wooden awnings. A dog sleeps under a porch. The saloon doors remain closed until evening. The town breathes in a slower rhythm. There is space here, space between buildings, space between people, space between sounds. Beyond the final row of houses, the prairie stretches wide and empty, shimmering in the sunlight. Eventually, the light begins to soften once more. The sun lowers toward distant hills. Cowboys guide cattle back toward fenced areas. Railroad workers finish their tasks for the day. Shopkeepers sweep dust from their floors. The sky warms into shades of gold and pale orange. Shadows lengthen across the dirt road, and the town prepares, once again, for the quiet comfort of evening. As the long afternoon light begins to fade, the social life of frontier life quietly comes forward. Though the American West is often imagined as wide and solitary, the towns themselves are close-knit communities. People rely on one another. They share tools, trade goods, exchange news, and offer help during difficult seasons. In the early evening, neighbors gather along wooden boardwalks. A rancher may lean against a post outside the general store, speaking calmly with a farmer about the condition of the grasslands. A mother might stand near her doorway, watching children play while speaking softly with a friend next door. Laughter rises gently from a small group sitting on an overturned crate. There is no rush in these conversations. The day's work is done. The sky glows in warm shades overhead. Community in the frontier is not grand or formal. It is simple, shared, steady. Now let us step carefully toward the saloon as evening begins. The wooden doors swing gently as a few men enter. Inside, the room is dimmer than the bright outdoors. Lanterns hang from hooks along the walls, casting a warm amber light across wooden tables and a long polished bar. The floorboards creak softly beneath boots. A piano may sit in one corner, and occasionally someone plays a slow, simple tune. The saloon is not always loud or rowdy. On many evenings, it is a place of quiet companionship. Men sit together with small glasses of whiskey or mugs of beer. They speak about cattle prices, weather patterns, the latest train arrival. Cards may be dealt on a wooden table. The conversation flows at an easy pace. Outside, the sky continues to darken. Lantern light spills faintly through the saloon windows onto the dusty street. Not all social life centers around the saloon. In many frontier towns, the church serves as a gathering place for families. The church building is often simple: wooden walls, a small bell tower, rows of plain benches inside. On certain evenings, townspeople gather for prayer or hymn singing. Voices blend together in gentle harmony. The sound carries softly through open windows into the cooling air. Candles flicker near the front of the room. Afterward, families linger outside, speaking quietly before returning home. The church provides more than religious guidance.
It offers stability, a sense of shared purpose. In a land where weather and distance can feel unpredictable, these gatherings bring reassurance. From time to time, frontier towns hold small celebrations: a harvest supper, a barn raising, a town meeting in the open air. Let us imagine a harvest gathering. Long wooden tables are set up outside under the wide sky. Women bring homemade pies, roasted vegetables, and loaves of bread. Men arrange lanterns along fence posts. Children run freely across open grass. As twilight falls, people sit together and share food. There may be music, a fiddle played slowly, perhaps joined by a harmonica. Couples dance lightly on the packed earth. These celebrations are not extravagant, but they are joyful in their simplicity. They remind everyone that despite the challenges of frontier life, there is warmth in togetherness. Now let us return to a ranch house as night approaches. Inside, the family gathers around the table for supper. The meal is hearty but simple: stew made from beans and vegetables, cornbread baked in a cast-iron pan, perhaps a small portion of beef. Coffee is poured into tin cups. The room glows softly from lantern light and the warmth of the stove. Conversation is calm. The father speaks about the condition of the herd. The mother mentions plans for preserving vegetables. Children listen, sometimes sharing small stories of their day. After supper, dishes are washed in a basin. One child may read from a worn book while others sit quietly. If someone in the family plays an instrument, a soft melody fills the room. Outside, the prairie grows darker. The first stars begin to appear. Step outside now. The town is quieter than before. Lanterns glow in windows. The saloon doors close gently for the night. Horses tied along the street shift and snort softly. Crickets begin their steady chorus in the grass. Far from town, coyotes may call in the distance, their voices rising and falling across the open land. The sky overhead is vast and brilliant. Without city lights, the stars shine clearly. The Milky Way stretches like a pale ribbon across the darkness. The air feels cooler now, carrying the scent of dry earth. Night in the west is expansive. It feels wide and peaceful. Back on Main Street, Most buildings are dark. The general store has been locked. The blacksmith's forge is cold. Only a few lanterns remain lit in homes where families are still awake. A town marshal may walk slowly along the street, ensuring all is well. His footsteps are steady. He pauses occasionally, listening. But most nights are uneventful, quiet, still. Inside homes, families prepare for rest. Boots are placed by doors. Hats hang on pegs. Lantern flames are turned down low. Children climb into narrow beds. Parents check windows and doors one last time. The town breathes deeply and slowly. Beyond the cluster of buildings, the prairie stretches endlessly under the night sky.
A lone rider may guide his horse slowly along a fence line, checking cattle beneath starlight. The horse's hooves press gently into cool earth. The wind moves softly through tall grass. The rider hums a quiet tune to calm the herd. There is something deeply peaceful about this scene. The vast land, the wide sky, the slow movement of man and animal in harmony with the night. Eventually, the rider returns home. The horse is unsaddled and given water. The door closes behind him. Silence settles again. Now the town sleeps. Lanterns have been extinguished. Only moonlight remains. Shadows stretch across the dirt road. The wooden buildings appear softer in the pale glow. The prairie seems almost endless. The sounds of the day are gone. In their place, the whisper of wind, the distant call of night birds, the steady breathing of sleeping families. The frontier rests beneath the stars. As the frontier town settles into deep night, one figure may still be awake, the town marshal. He walks slowly along the dusty main street, boots pressing softly into the earth. A lantern swings gently from his hand, casting a warm circle of light ahead of him. There is no rush in his steps. Most nights are peaceful. He pauses outside the general store, glancing at the locked door. He checks the stable where a few horses rest quietly, their heads lowered. From one house comes the faint glow of a late-burning lantern, perhaps a mother soothing a restless child, perhaps someone reading by soft light. The marshal nods to himself and continues. His presence is steady, reassuring. The town may be small, but it is cared for. He walks the length of the boardwalk, past the silent saloon, past the blacksmith's shop, until the buildings thin and the open prairie begins. There he pauses, listening. The wind moves gently across the land. Satisfied, he turns back toward town. Not all frontier towns are built around ranching. Some rise quickly near mountains where gold or silver has been discovered. Let us imagine a small mining town nestled against rocky hills. By day, it is busy, with miners entering shafts carved into the earth. Carts of ore are pulled toward processing mills. But at night, the scene is very different. Lanterns glow in windows of rough wooden cabins. The air smells faintly of dust and smoke from cooking fires. The mine entrance stands dark and quiet beneath the moon. A watchman may sit near the equipment shed, wrapped in a coat against the chill mountain air. Mining towns often grow quickly, but even here, daily rhythms settle into patterns. Men rise early, work long hours underground, and return home tired. In the evening, they eat simple meals and rest. The excitement of discovery fades into routine labor.
and night brings stillness even to towns born from dreams of gold. Further west, along newly laid tracks, railroad camps dot the landscape, temporary settlements of canvas tents and small wooden bunkhouses house workers building the iron road across the continent. At night, campfires burn low. Men sit quietly around fading embers, speaking softly in different languages, English, Irish, Chinese, reflecting the diverse workers who helped build the railroads. The stars above are bright and endless. A distant coyote call drifts across the open land. Tools lie stacked neatly beside tracks, half finished in the moonlight. The work will continue at dawn, but for now, the camp rests. The rails stretch into darkness, silent and still. Life in the Wild West is shaped deeply by the seasons. In summer, heat shimmers over the prairie. Dust clings to boots and settles on windowsills. Water must be managed carefully. In winter, snow may blanket the land. Let us imagine a winter night on the frontier. The town is quieter than usual. Snow rests softly along rooftops and fences. Footsteps are muffled. Inside homes, fires burn brighter. Families gather closer together for warmth. The wind may press against the wooden walls, rattling shutters gently. But inside, there is comfort. Wool blankets are thick. Soup simmers slowly in iron pots. The harshness of the season strengthens the sense of togetherness. Survival depends on preparation, on storing food, on maintaining fences, on helping neighbors when storms pass through. In spring, thawing snow feeds streams and grasses return green and fresh. Each season brings change, but also renewal. Beyond this small town, the American West is changing steadily. Railroads connect distant regions. Telegraph wires stretch across open plains, carrying messages in quick pulses of sound. New settlers arrive in covered wagons, seeking land and opportunity. Native American tribes continue to live across the land, though their way of life is increasingly disrupted by expansion. For many settlers, life is about building something lasting, planting crops, raising cattle, constructing homes and schools. It is not a life of constant excitement. It is one of steady effort. The myth of the Wild West often focuses on gunfights and sudden events, but most days are quiet. Most nights are peaceful. The true story of the West is one of endurance, of routine, of ordinary families carving out stable lives beneath vast skies. Now, we return to the frontier town in its deepest hour of night. The marshal has finished his round. Lanterns are dark. Only moonlight touches the wooden facades of buildings. The prairie stretches silent and wide. Inside a ranch house, a father stirs briefly and adds a small piece of wood to the stove. The flame brightens for a moment, then settles. Children shift softly in their sleep. In the stable, horses breathe steadily. The stars are brilliant overhead. The Milky Way appears like a faint white cloud across the sky. There are no city lights to dim it, only the quiet earth turning slowly beneath the heavens. The air is cool, still. Time feels unhurried. Gradually, the eastern horizon begins to lighten. It is subtle at first, a faint gray band where sky meets land. The stars lose a little of their brightness. A rooster crows near a farmhouse. In the distance, cattle stir. The town remains mostly asleep, but morning is approaching. Soon doors will open, fires will be rekindled, coffee will brew, boots will step once more onto dusty streets. But for now, in this gentle moment before sunrise, the West is wrapped in quiet. The prairie holds its breath. The frontier rests. Before we slowly bring our journey to an end, let us pause together for a quiet reflection. The American Wild West is often remembered for dramatic stories, fast riders, dusty duels, sudden change. But as we have seen tonight, most of life on the frontier was something much gentler. It was early mornings, with coffee warming on a cast-iron stove. It was steady hands mending fences beneath a wide blue sky. It was shopkeepers sweeping wooden porches at sunrise. It was children studying lessons in a one-room schoolhouse. The West was shaped less by sudden moments and more by repetition, by ordinary people waking each day and doing what needed to be done. Ranchers checking cattle, railroad workers laying track, blacksmiths shaping iron, mothers preparing meals from simple ingredients. These quiet efforts built towns that would grow into lasting communities. And when evening came, lanterns were lit, families gathered, voices softened, and the wide land settled into stillness. One of the most powerful influences on frontier life was the land itself, the vast prairie, the distant mountains, the endless sky. In such open space, people learned patience. They learned to measure time by sunrise and sunset, by the change of seasons, by the movement of herds and the growth of crops. There were no tall buildings blocking the horizon, no crowded streets pressing in from all sides. Instead, there was distance, space to breathe, space to think. At night, the sky became a source of wonder. Without electric lights, the stars appeared in breathtaking numbers. Cowboys riding herd might look upward and see constellations stretching from one edge of the world to the other. Children lying in simple beds might drift to sleep beneath a ceiling touched faintly by moonlight. The rhythm of frontier life followed the rhythm of nature, and that rhythm was steady, predictable, comforting. Though the land was wide, the towns were close. People depended on one another. A barn raising required many hands. A winter storm called for neighbors checking on neighbors. A new family arriving in town might receive help building a home or clearing land. Community gatherings, church services, harvest suppers, small dances created bonds that lasted for years. In a place where distances were great, human connection mattered deeply. Even quiet conversations on a boardwalk at sunset strengthened those ties. Life could be challenging, weather could be unpredictable, but shared effort made the burden lighter. As years passed, the frontier changed. Railroads connected towns to distant cities. Telegraph lines carried messages across miles in moments. Settlements grew larger and more permanent. The open range gradually gave way to fenced ranches and organized farms. Yet the spirit of the West, its patience, resilience, and quiet independence remained woven into American history. It was not only a time of expansion, it was a time of building, of planting roots in wide soil, of turning simple wooden buildings into lasting communities. And beneath all the change, the most constant element remained the same: the rising of the sun, the setting of the sun, the quiet arrival of night. Now, let us return once more to that small frontier town beneath the wide sky. It is evening again. The sun has just dipped below the horizon. Shades of gold and rose fade slowly into deep blue. The wooden buildings along Main Street are quiet. Lanterns glow softly in a few windows. A horse shifts in the stable. The wind moves gently through tall grass beyond the last fence. Inside a ranch house, a family finishes supper. Inside the saloon, a final glass is set down softly on the bar. Inside the church, candles flicker and then fade. One by one, lantern flames are turned down. Boots are placed beside doors. Hats rest on pegs. Children drift into sleep. Outside, the prairie stretches silent and wide. The stars shine clearly overhead. The Milky Way arcs across the sky like a pale ribbon of light. There is no hurry here, no pressing noise, only the steady breath of the land. Before we fully close our eyes on this peaceful frontier night, I'd like to gently invite you to subscribe to this channel. If you enjoy these calm journeys through history, if you find comfort in slow storytelling and quiet evenings from the past, then subscribing helps you return here whenever you wish. It also helps this peaceful space continue to grow. There is no rush, just a soft invitation. And now we will settle fully into rest. Imagine yourself standing just outside the frontier town. The ground beneath your feet is cool. The air carries the scent of dry grass and distant wood smoke. Behind you, the town sleeps. Before you, the open prairie stretches endlessly under the stars. A gentle breeze brushes past. You hear only the soft whisper of wind, perhaps the faint call of a night bird far away. The sky is vast. The land is still. Everything feels unhurried. Inhale the cool night air. Exhale gently. The lanterns are dark now. The marshal has finished his round. The cattle rest quietly in their enclosure. The railroad tracks gleam faintly in moonlight. The entire frontier is wrapped in peaceful silence. There is nothing more to do, nowhere to go, only rest. Let the wide prairie hold you in its calm. Let the stars above remind you of steady, quiet time. And as this gentle story fades, allow yourself to drift, slowly, peacefully, into sleep. Good night.